right, welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really digging into a topic that's not just coming, it's here, reshaping our lives, our jobs, artificial intelligence. We're basically asking, how exactly is AI changing the modern workplace?
Yeah, and our sources for this deep dive, they're painting this picture of, well, a massive socioeconomic shift. Some are even comparing it to things like the Industrial Revolution or, the start of the internet. It's pretty clear that almost every field is being touched by this: medicine, marketing, teaching, transport, you name it. So our mission today really is to pull out the key insights for you. We want you to understand the opportunities, sure, but also the challenges, and maybe most importantly, how you can adapt, how you can thrive in this new landscape.
It really is fascinating how fast AI has moved. I mean, it wasn't that long ago we were talking about sort of narrow AI, right? Task-specific
Like
things.
Siri or Alexa. Exactly. Or, those recommendation engines suggesting movies.
Right.
But the sources we looked at show it's leaped forward. Now we're talking advanced systems. Large language models like ChatGPT, super sophisticated image recognition, autonomous machines. And these aren't just lab experiments anymore. They're actually out there, augmenting or even automating tasks we used to think needed uniquely human skills like judgment or creativity.
Okay, so let's unpack that. Where are we actually seeing AI making the biggest waves right now in the workplace, day to day?
Well, we're seeing it transform things in a few key areas. First, and this is a big one, the automation of repetitive tasks. Think about clerical work, admin roles. They're being streamlined using tools like RPA, that's robotic process automation,
Right.
and OCR, optical character recognition for reading documents, plus NLP, natural language processing, so computers can, understand us. Our sources show this is freeing up just countless hours that used to be spent on really routine stuff.
Okay, so that's automation. What else?
Then there's data-driven decision-making. AI is just phenomenal at crunching huge amounts of data. So businesses can make faster, often much more accurate decisions. It spots patterns, predicts trends in ways humans, well, we just can't.
I see. And you mentioned personalization.
Yes. Thirdly, personalized experiences. This is huge in areas like marketing, retail, content creation. AI can now predict not just what you might like, but, according to our sources, even when you're most likely to buy something. It allows for these hyper-targeted ads and recommendations that feel almost like mind reading sometimes.
Like my streaming queue, always knowing what I want next.
Exactly that. And then in really critical fields like healthcare, AI is becoming a powerful support tool. Radiologists, pathologists, they're using AI to help analyze scans, potentially catching things earlier or faster. It lets them focus their expertise where it's needed most.
That's incredible.
And finally, think about customer service. AI chatbots, virtual agents, they're handling millions of queries now very efficiently, improving response times pretty much everywhere. It's really getting into all corners of how work actually happens.
Wow, that's quite a list. It feels like it's touching almost everything, which naturally brings us to the big question everyone's asking: what does this mean for our jobs? Do the sources suggest roles are just disappearing, or is it more complex?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the material we looked at gives a pretty clear breakdown. We can kind of categorize the impact into three main buckets.
Okay.
First, yes, there are jobs being disrupted or, phased out. These tend to be roles with lots of repetitive, predictable tasks. Think administrative assistants, automated scheduling, document handling. That's making inroads. Data entry clerks, too, with things like OCR and AI text extraction becoming so good.
Right, less need for manual input.
Exactly. Even telemarketers. AI voice assistants are getting surprisingly good at, well, persuasive conversation. And we see it with retail cashiers, obviously,
Yeah.
with self-checkouts and those cashierless stores like Amazon Go.
Okay, so some roles are definitely feeling the pressure. What's the second category?
The second, and this is where it gets really interesting, I think, is jobs being transformed. Not replaced, but changed. Here, AI acts more like a co-pilot, an assistant. Take teachers. They can use AI to personalize learning for each student or automate grading for routine assignments.
Freeing them up for.
For the human stuff, inspiring creativity, critical thinking, mentoring students one-on-one, things AI can't really do. Same for doctors and radiologists. AI can help analyze scans, flags potential issues super fast, but the human judgment, the empathy, the patient care that remains absolutely central.
Makes sense.
Even lawyers and paralegals. AI is becoming amazing for legal research, finding precedents, even drafting initial contracts. It speeds up processes that used to take ages.
So augmenting their skills rather than replacing them?
Precisely. And then the third category is really exciting. Jobs in high demand because of AI.
Ah, the job creation side.
Exactly. The AI revolution is definitely creating jobs too. There's a huge need for AI and machine learning engineers, obviously. Data scientists, analysts, their skills are crucial. But we're also seeing totally new roles emerge, like prompt engineers.
Prompt engineers, what's that?
They're specialists who figure out how to talk to AI models, how to write the best instructions or prompts to get the AI to produce really high-quality, relevant, creative results. It's a fascinating new skill.
Interesting.
And beyond that, more cybersecurity experts are needed to protect all these AI systems. We also need ethics and compliance officers focused specifically on AI use, and even AI-trained creatives like video editors, writers, illustrators who learn to use AI tools to boost their own creativity and output.
That paints a much more nuanced picture: disruption, transformation, and creation. So beyond these specific job titles, what are the broader opportunities AI brings for individuals, for businesses, looking at the bigger picture from our sources?
Yeah, connecting it to the bigger picture. The opportunities are pretty significant. First, as we touched on, huge productivity gains. Think about all the time spent on routine reports, project coordination, email triage. AI can automate a lot of that.
So people can focus on.
More strategic work, more creative problem solving, the things that really require human insight and add more value.
Yeah.
Second, as we just said, job creation in totally new fields. It's expanding what's possible professionally.
Okay.
Thirdly, AI is a massive enabler for remote work and accessing global talent. Think real-time translation in meetings, better collaboration tools, geographical barriers are just melting away. Companies can find the best talent wherever they are.
That's a huge shift.
It is. And finally, potentially, improved work-life balance.
Hmm.
By automating those low-value, time-consuming tasks, the hope is that AI can free up employees. Free them up not just for more meaningful work during the day, but maybe also for, personal development or just having a healthier balance overall.
That all sounds incredibly positive. Almost too good to be true. Every big shift has downsides. What are the challenges, the risks we need to keep an eye on, according to the sources?
Oh, absolutely. And the sources are quite clear on the challenges. The big one everyone talks about is job displacement.
Right.
There's no denying that millions of lower-skill, routine jobs are at risk. And this is particularly concerning in countries that maybe don't have robust systems for retraining and upskilling their workforce.
It leads to.
A looming skills gap. Many people in the current workforce might not have the digital literacy or technical skills needed for these new AI-integrated jobs. Bridging that gap is a major challenge.
Okay, skills gap. What else?
Then there are really important ethical questions, particularly around bias. AI systems learn from data. And if that data reflects historical human biases, say, in hiring practices, the AI can, unfortunately, learn and even amplify those biases. This needs careful management, especially in HR and other sensitive areas.
That's a serious concern.
Definitely. And related to that are growing privacy issues. More AI in the workplace can mean more monitoring, more data collection on employees, which raises valid concerns about autonomy, consent, and surveillance.
Right, those are really critical points. So, knowing all this, the potential, the pitfalls, how can you, our listener, actually prepare? How can you future-proof your career in this landscape? What steps did the sources suggest?
Well, the material we reviewed outlines a pretty clear path for adaptation, really. It boils down to a few key actions.
Okay.
First, develop digital literacy. You don't necessarily need to become a coder, but understanding basic AI concepts, how data works, getting comfortable with the automation tools relevant to your field is becoming essential.
So foundational knowledge.
Exactly. Second, cultivate human skills. These are the things AI can't easily replicate. Emotional intelligence, creativity, critical thinking, complex problem solving, adaptability. These become even more valuable.
Makes sense. Keep being human.
Kind of, yeah. Third, embrace lifelong learning. The pace of change means you just have to keep learning. Online courses, certifications, workshops. Maybe look for ones specifically aimed at AI for non-tech professionals. They're popping up everywhere.
Stay curious.
Absolutely. Fourth, try to embrace AI as a collaborator. See it as a tool to boost your own productivity, to handle the grunt work, rather than something to fear. Learn how to use the tools effectively in your role.
Use it. Don't fight it.
That's the idea. And finally, number 5, engage with the ethics. Understand the potential ethical issues, bias, privacy related to using AI in your specific job or industry. Being aware is the first step to responsible use.
That's a really practical list. What about the global picture? Does this shift look different in different parts of the world? Are some places better set up for this?
Yeah, the global outlook is varied. Our sources suggest that Generally speaking, developed countries might have an edge initially. They tend to have better digital infrastructure, faster internet, more established AI education programs already, so potentially a higher capacity to adapt quickly.
And developing economies.
For developing economies, it's a bit of a double-edged sword. There's certainly a risk that the gap could widen if they fall behind in adopting and adapting to AI. But there's also this really exciting opportunity for them to potentially leapfrog. If they can strategically deploy AI in key sectors, education, healthcare services, they might bypass some traditional development stages. It's a really dynamic situation.
So a complex global picture with both risks and opportunities. Okay, wrapping this up. What's the big takeaway here? Our deep dive into these sources seems to make one thing really clear. This AI revolution, it isn't necessarily about replacing humans wholesale. It's more of a fundamental shift in how we work, not just who does the work. Sure, some jobs will fade out, but many more are evolving, and like you said, entirely new ones are being born. It feels like the winners in this new era will be the adaptable ones, right? Those who embrace learning, who stay flexible, and who see AI not as an enemy, but as this incredibly powerful tool they need to master. There was this one line from the sources that really stuck with me. You won't be replaced by AI. You'll be replaced by someone using AI better than you.
That really sums it up, doesn't it? And it leaves us with a crucial question for you, the listener, to think about. How can you start thinking about AI not just as something happening out there, but as a potential collaborator in your own work? How can you begin integrating it to make sure you're not just keeping up, but actually leading the way in whatever you do?
A powerful thought to end on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We really hope this gave you some clear insights and maybe some practical steps for navigating this exciting, fast-changing world of work.